Hi guys, it's Jess and it's time for another episode of I Want to Be an Illustrator When I Grow Up. So last time we talked, I was about to go to the museum and I did, and it was amazing and I want to show you, but it turns out I have a couple of issues. The first being that I really suck at holding my camera still, so all of my footage from the museum kind of goes like this. And it was really hard to edit. The other part being my computer is like 7 years old and does not love Adobe Premiere Pro 2017. So I'm gonna have to wait for multiple videos every week until like Christmas when I upgrade my computer, which I'm super excited for. So the museum was awesome. And the best part about it was, in addition to just, breathing in the art, I could feel a flutter in my chest all day. I was so excited. But really the best part was getting up close to these paintings and seeing that these people that I have read about in my textbooks, they're not perfect. Cézanne was not perfect. He was great and his paintings are amazing, but there's bad strokes or imperfect renderings, or the thing that looks like a tree from 20 feet away when you get up close is really just a brown squiggle. And I think it really helped me say, okay, you know what? You can step down your expectations a little bit. And yes, I still have to be good and I still have to compete with other existing illustrators, but perfection is imperfect. And if Cézanne can be in a museum and he's not perfect, then it's okay for me to not be perfect either. So last time we talked, I told you I was going to do 2 videos a week. And now that I know I can't, I want to update you on what happened over the last 2 weeks. And then from here on out, we're going to do a Friday video update schedule. So every Friday I'll put out a video. So after getting back from the museum, I was reading my Kindle and it hit me and I gave myself a really big fat lip. And so even though I had an okay week last week, I really just couldn't make a video because I didn't even want to look at myself in the mirror. So I really couldn't force you to look at my giant malformed lip. What I spent most of the last 2 weeks doing was sketching. Nothing really finished. I have been learning or relearning how to draw hands, which I've always sucked at. I have realized that my figures, my people, still need a lot of work. But mostly I was reviewing the principles and elements of design, some composition issues, lighting and shadow and tone, and kind of going through some of my old notes and practicing in some really tiny thumbnails. Because even though I think that my drawing skills still need work, if I can up the level of my composition and my color and my tone and my shadows and lighting and those other parts of making a good illustration, I feel like it will raise the overall level of my pieces and I'll be able to make pieces that I am satisfied with, that I have no problem sharing on Instagram and putting out there. The other thing I've been doing when I realized that my people still need work is that I've got the faces, I can handle the faces, but I feel like arms are kind of crazy and they stick out and they've got bendy parts. And I know that's obvious, but when I sit down to draw, I feel like they're awkward and I don't know I know how they should be proportionally, but it feels awkward to draw. So I did quite a few gesture drawings where I'm just using a circle for the head and like a stick figure, except trying to capture the pose of the painting or figure or person without worrying at all about detail. Because I feel like if I can get the pose down, if I can start to understand how arms and legs interact with the body and remembering contrapposto and all of the other things that I've learned, that it will make drawing my figures better. So the next thing I wanted to mention was some of the other things that I've been thinking about as I've done this drawing. And first of all, I'm really enjoying it. I love getting better. I love being able to see the progress that I'm making. But I can't help but think about illustration also as a business. This is not just me drawing pictures for my sketchbook. This is me trying to create a career. And so the part that has been, I don't know, feeling a little overwhelming lately is there are so many options that you can do in illustration. I mean, there's children's books and comics and lettering and typography. There's licensing and prints and products like stickers. There's greeting cards. There's so many things, magazine illustration, so many things that you can do. And each one is a little bit different. I mean, they all require a drawing, but what you're going to do for a magazine, for a spot illustration is not the same thought process that you're going to do for a children's book. So I'm trying not to let that bog me down right now, but I'm kind of keeping it in the back of my head. And with that being said, my ultimate goal, the thing I would really, really love to do is illustrate a children's book and do a comic, maybe a web comic or something small like that. So with the kids' book being in mind, I'm aiming my style at more of a childish, stylized, fun kind of look, because that's the end goal I want. And if I do other things in the meantime, that's fine, but I want to keep that in mind so that I can work towards it. So that's my thoughts. I don't want to be totally bogged down by the business of illustration just yet. I mean, that's like worrying about being published before you've written a book. But it's there in the back of my mind as I go through this process. So then what's coming up in the next week? Well, next month is Inktober, which I have never done before, and I'm super excited and crazy nervous to do because I actually want to do the whole thing, a drawing every day in ink, and I want to put it on my Instagram and really share it and do Inktober the way it should be done. So over the next week, I'm going to be practicing some line work and some, I guess it's just line work, with a brush pen and with my dip pen, so that when Inktober comes, I will be a little bit more comfortable with outlining some of the drawings, finishing some of the drawings that I've done or that I will do. So to prep for Inktober for the rest of September, I'm going to try to do one drawing a day that I take from start to finish. I don't know if I will be inking it, but ultimately I want to work in watercolors, so I want to do small spot style illustrations like a cat with an ice cream cone, silly things like that, that I will take from sketch to watercolor finished painting, which probably will involve some line work, so that I can kind of get used to doing the drawings every day and get a little practice so that when I start putting them out there for Inktober, I don't totally suck. That being said, next week when I do my update, I would like to have one, hopefully 3 finished pieces that I am comfortable enough to show you so that you can look at my stuff and say, oh my God, she totally sucks. I can do better than that. And I can look back in a year and say, look at where I started. So here's hoping that everything goes well, because I'm still really nervous about sharing all of this with you guys. The other thing, this week's artist date, I have 2 choices, or 2 things I want to do. Fall is starting, the weather is cooler, things are starting to change color around here. So I do want to go up to Harrisburg and take my camera. I have a couple of old film cameras. I love film photography. And walk around the city and take some pictures. So that's a possibility. And the other thing is I want to do some observational drawing. So we have a really great farmers market around here that happens, I think, Thursdays and definitely Saturdays. And so tomorrow, Saturday, I want to go down to the market and I want to sit with my sketchbook and I want to draw some people from observation, because one of the most important things I feel like I need to understand and to get better at is teaching my brain to draw what I'm seeing and not what I know, to help break myself away from drawing the symbols for things. So, you think an eye looks like a football, but when you actually look at an eyeball, it doesn't look anything really like a football. It's a lot more dimensional, and there's a lot more line to it than the almond shape. When you paint clouds or snow and you say, oh my God, I know that this is white, and you get stuck because you don't know how to paint the clouds and the snow because your paper is white. But the thing is, if you actually paint what you see, there's a lot of shadow and color and light and dark in the snow and in the clouds that make them purple or gray or blue or things that aren't just white. But when you put those tones and shadows and highlights in the right place, you get realistic looking snow and clouds. And while I'm not yet ready to tackle snow or clouds, learning to draw from observation is important. So, a little bit of music from my headphones and a sketchbook, and it'll be super fun. And now that I know I have to hold my camera a whole lot steadier, hopefully I will be able to take some nice, easy, smooth shots so that I can show you some of where I was, since the museum trip just failed so spectacularly as far as video goes. I'm super excited to get back to work. This past week has been full of depression, and it was really hard to get to work. So having planned out what I was going to say in this video, I realized how much work I really have and want to do. So I'm super excited about going forward, and I can't wait to finish some pieces. So it is now time for me to go pick up my daughter from school, and then I'm gonna sit down and draw. So you can find me on Twitter and on Instagram. I have my links down below, and I also do run a custom leather jewelry shop with my husband, Porter and Hazel, which you will also find a link to in the description below. So hopefully you'll come back and we can take this adventure together. See you next week. Bye.